Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson and welcome back to the Lyoko Retrospective. Today we're going to be discussing episode 48 of Lyoko. Is anybody out there? And this is an episode that I really should have saved for next week because it's kind of a ghost story. In this case, the episode focuses on Sissy as she hears an urban legend about one of the workers who built Caddick Academy, Leon Corbet. Apparently, the legend goes that he was buried alive and under cement in the area that the boiler room is in. So his ghost supposedly haunts the room. Sissy, wanting to try and test it out, decides that night she wants to perform a séance there, and she calls Ulrich there because again, crush. At first, Ulrich just kind of brushes it all off, thinking that nothing's really going to happen. So but of course, as they get the séance going and Nicholas and Herb do some chanting, Sissy calls out to the spirit of Leon, and then suddenly something happens as we see what looks like a fuse box begin to spark with purple electricity, and from it comes a giant amorphous black blob that is clearly glitching and looks like it's made of pixels. So yeah, it's a Xana monster. Of course, of course the group knows that whatever it is, everyone knows bad news run, save for Ulrich and Sissy. Sissy thinking they're safe because they're in a pentagram, which she continually calls something else because I'm guessing she doesn't know what it is. But bottom line is, this thing immediately starts trying to attack Ulrich, and they manage to escape, but this thing is still clearly after them as it chases them through the school, and ultimately Ulrich after hiding Sissy in his room, goes to Jeremy's room to see if a tower's been activated. Hold on a second. Sorry about that, dog. Anyway, so yeah, Jeremy checks they do the scan to try and find an activated tower, but nothing comes up. However, Jeremy is soon convinced that there's something going on as the ghost, for lack of a better term, ends up attacking Jim. They manage to fend it off, but yeah, this is clearly a Xana attack. So after having another run-in with the ghost, the group gets Aelita, and after calling Yumi, they all meet up at the factory. However, they kind of are going in blind. They know that a tower's been activated, but whatever is going on with the deep scan, they can't find out where it is. As such, and on top of that, they know the ghost is going to come after them at some point. So the group realizes that they have to divide and conquer. With Yumi and Aelita going to Sector 5 to try and figure out what Xana did to screw with the program, and Odd going to see if he can find the activated tower, while Ulrich stays in the factory to give Jeremy support if the ghost shows up. As such, that's exactly what happens. Yumi and Aelita go to Sector 5 and try and figure out what happened to the program. Odd just goes from sector to sector trying to find the activated tower, and sure enough, the ghost does attack the factory, and Ulrich and Jeremy have to fend it off. It's actually pretty an interesting episode, a nice setup, especially when Aelita, Yumi, and Odd end up on their own when the ghost attacks, as Jeremy and Ulrich have to pretty much outrun this thing. And I'll give credit where it's due. While the ghost does look creepy enough, it does kind of it wears away after a while, because it's just essentially, because yeah, like it is, it's pretty much just an amorphous blob with kind of a. Hold on a second. Sorry about that again. The dog. Anyway, yeah, essentially it's just all. But yeah, bottom line though, things don't go well on any of the fronts. While Yumi and Aelita unfortunately, Yumi and Aelita can't get beyond the first room in Sector 5 before the timer runs down, so unfortunately they have to go back, and unfortunately on the way out, Yumi gets devirtualized, leaving Aelita alone with the Schifozoa when it eventually shows up. While Odd managed to find the factory, he gets devirtualized before he can take care of the monster surrounding it, so that's not good. And on top of that, while Ulrich and Jeremy do manage to kind of outwit the ghost, it's a ghost. Any defeats they give towards it are just temporary, as it reconstitutes itself almost immediately. So even when they get rid of it and try and make a beeline back to the control room, it reappears and holds them back. But thankfully, Odd is able to get to the controls and does manage to input and it does manage to gain enough control so that he's able to get Aelita out before the Schizozoa can start stealing her memory. And thankfully he also sends her right to where the activated tower is. And so she ends up just making a beeline to the tower while the monsters just shoot at her. And I think my favorite part of the episode is she just kind of does she just skids right into the factory, I think. And as she does that, the monster is shooting at her, and it results in one of them accidentally shooting the other. And after it blows up, the other monster just kind of does what I think could be the close equivalent of "you gotta be kidding me." He does a "you gotta be kidding me" motion, like, "Oh come." I don't know. That's just slightly amusing. But bottom line, they do manage to deactivate the tower, and the ghost is no more. But unfortunately, while the ghost didn't cause that much damage, they never figured out how Xana was able to screw with the deep scan, so they do a return to the past, which is dumb, but whatever. So as such, the episode ends with Ulrich and Sissy at the seance again. Only this time, Odd is there pretending to be the ghost. He manages to scare off Nicholas, Herb, and Sissy, but just as they're walking away, we hear what looks like a moaning before the hatch for where the Xana ghost appeared suddenly closes on itself, which that kind of is a little creepy. I'll give you credit. So, but otherwise, yeah. Otherwise, I think this is a good episode. Like I said, this is an episode I feel like I should have looked at next week, considering that Halloween's next week, but it's still one that I feel is good enough for the time of year. It actually is kind of creepy, and I do like the monster. It's not great, but it is nice because it's just this giant amorphous black blob that can't be defeated. Any time you do defeat it, it will get back up later. And its mouth is essentially, yeah, that's what I was talking about before. Its mouth is just like this giant goopy thing that looks like it's trying to open, but it's still kind of shut because the tendrils are blocking the path. And it does genuinely look like something. Definitely does something that if it was stalking you in a dark hallway, you would definitely get creeped out. On top of that, it is a true. I like the implication at the end of the episode provides that Xana actually possessed an honest-to-goodness ghost, which I think is even more terrifying. Like, Xana has been able to pretty much screw around with the world however he sees fit whenever he activates a tower. So the idea of him being able to possess something that is of the other, something that mortal minds probably cannot comprehend, and bend it to his whim to the point where he's able to use it to actively hunt down the Lyoko group, that's actually kind of disturbing. And the episode makes it clear this thing is a very large threat as it does everything a ghost can do. It appears it can walk through walls, appear from nothing. It's relentless, and it definitely is creepy. In fact, hell, at one point, like when I talked about how they had one more encounter with the ghost before they got Aelita. How it happened was that Jeremy went to Aelita's room, and just as he was about to wait, and just as he woke her up, the ghost attacked them, and Jeremy's just on the ground struggling. And when they finally see what it is, the thing is fucking strangling him. Like, it's just got its tendrils at his throat and just trying to throttle the kid. Like, dang, that is just damn. Like, just yeah, like we already know that Santa just abjectly hates these guys, so there's our proof, guys. But yeah. It's still it's really nice, and again, I kind of like how things progress through the episode. Just with the scan not working and them having to kind of fly loose by the seat of their pants, especially as things just keep going wrong. Like they don't manage to get through Sector 5 in time before the timer runs out, or Odd having to jump from sector to sector to find the activated tower, or Jeremy and Ulrich trying to just stay alive while this thing is hunting them. It's actually I actually like that. The pacing is good. I suppose, like, I don't know. I feel like one problem with this is that there's no real resolution when it comes to certain plot lines. For example, Sissy again feels like a cliff note. Like, she's not included in the action because the ghost is just after the Lyoko group. At one point, she has a face-to-face encounter with it while no one's there, and it does nothing to her. Like, it just looks at her and then just walks away. Like, it's just trying to find her. Like, again, that one just kind of dropped and forgotten about, and how they get Sissy out of the action afterwards is just by letting her do the seance and then just trying to spook her, just kind of scare her off by doing a prank. It's just silly and kind of dumb, if you ask me. And another thing that this episode I feel like another thing that was wasted potential was the idea of Xana being able to control the super scan. Now, that may just hold true for now. Like, I may change my tune in the later episodes because the thing is, this is never it's never fixed in the episode. Their closest way of fixing it is Jeremy going back in time, which, let's be honest, that might not have fixed the problem. And once to stop Xana from doing this again, they got to figure out what's causing how Xana did it, and then so they can make sure he doesn't do it again. I think that should be their priority. But instead, they decide, well, since we never figured it out, let's go back in time. Like, what's to stop you from going back into Sector 5? I don't see a reason why you can't do that. Just go back in there, have the whole group this time, and make sure that you can take out the monsters, and then go to Sector 5. Get the data you need, then bolt. Like, well, what's stopping them from doing that? No, you have to do a return to the past, the thing you know will make the bad guys stronger? No, I think that there was another solution there. As such, we don't really get resolution towards how that happened. We never, so and as a result, it kind of makes the episode feel a little empty in that regard. But with that being said, I also feel like that I might be a little bit skeptical here, but while I do like the idea of a ghost, and again, I did give credit, the ghost itself did look creepy. I feel like that the ghosts can also be limited too, is that while it is one of those survival horror things, like you never know where this thing is lurking, I feel like it would have been cool if Xana had been able to do more with it, like actually, create like this full-blown haunted, like more than just one ghost is what I'm saying. Like actually have it do more than just appear and attack them. Like do more subtle things to probably get them on their nerves and then go for the kill. I would have liked that. I feel like that would have been a better ghost story. Otherwise, but again, those are just my complaints. Otherwise, though, the episode is good. I like the pacing. I like how everything progresses. While I feel like it could have done better, the ghost stuff actually was still good. While there are there are some plot threads that are left unresolved or were just kind of resolved rather half-heartedly, I think this is actually a good ghost story. Just having this thing stalk them and how the group has to go about fighting it, especially when things do start going wrong. It's nice. It's nice. I like that. And again, maybe my complaint about the deep scan being sabotage is addressed in a future episode. So I look forward to that. But otherwise, yeah, the episode overall is still good. Again, got good pacing, good monster. I like how most of the stuff is. I love how most of the stuff is gone through. Overall, still a good episode. Probably should have saved it for next week. So, yeah, that's about it then. Thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I'll see you next week. Take care.